Hi, and welcome to Good Morning KU. I'm Farzin Vasugian.
I'm Jackson Long. A relatively slow sports weekend, I would say, but we have the NBA All-Star Weekend and all the events associated with that, as well as the Olympics on tap for you today. But first, TCU came to town to challenge the Jayhawks. Farzin?
And the Jayhawks trying to rebound after a loss to Kansas State. Here are the highlights in this game for you. TCU getting ready to visit the Kansas Jayhawks, and early on, TCU really got into KU's grill. And you see Kean Anderson right here, one of the top players in the Big 12, second in the Big 12 in minutes, drives the basket right there and gets the foul. A great job by Kean Anderson, really one of the better players in the Big 12. Doesn't get a whole lot of recognition because he's at TCU. There you see that three-pointer right there, drains it. Just a really incredible first half to help TCU get ahead early against KU in the first half. But here's Wayne Selden, got his own rebound, followed in with his shot right there, put it back in to try and help KU get close to TCU, trying to cut the deficit. Anderson, however, responds. Here's a long jump shot from Kean Anderson near the corner, goes in there, puts it up. He was 5 of 6 at that point from the field. Just a really good job from Anderson, but Selden responded with a 3 of his own right there from the corner. Got it to fall in. KU fighting with TCU. Anderson not giving up. Another three-pointer from Kean Anderson right here. Swishes it. Had 19 points at that point right there. 21 overall in the first half. Again, just a really incredible performance by Kean Anderson on the road at Allen Fieldhouse. But here's Andrew Wiggins helping out the Jayhawks with a 3 right there right before halftime, and things start to get rolling for the Jayhawks. Right there, a lob to Tarek Black from Andrew Wiggins, and fans are getting into it here at Allen Fieldhouse, but the Jayhawks aren't done quite yet. Jayhawks won another alley-oop. This time, it's to Andrew Wiggins. He gets rewarded after feeding Tarek Black earlier in the game. KU wins this one 95-65. A couple of the stats from the game this past weekend. Perry Ellis, just the game of his life. 32 points, 13 of 15 from the floor, a perfect 2 of 2 from beyond the arc, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, a career high for him, 32 points. As a matter of fact, he's sharing the Player of the Week honors in the Big 12 with Baylor's Isaiah Johnson. Wiggins had 17 points. Traylor came off the bench with 10 points and 8 rebounds. Kean Anderson had 21 points in the first half, but only 25 to finish the game. So a really good job by the Jayhawks. Got into some trouble early, especially with that Joel Embiid. I think that played a factor, but the Jayhawks found a way to get into a rhythm and eventually just put away TCU, and you can see that in the final score.
Yeah, as bad as the Jayhawks were in the first half on defense, I think they were equally impressive in the second half. Really the ability to shut down Anderson, who had such a great first half, 21 points you mentioned, and only finishing with 4 more in the second half. That was an excellent job by KU, and really their length and size is a big contributor in how well they've played on the defensive side so far.
And one of the more impressive things about KU, if one player is having a bad day or if someone's injured, like Joel Embiid, Joel Embiid's not the only player on this team, and nor is Andrew Wiggins. There are players that can come off the bench. Guys like Tarek Black, who's contributed in the past 3 games prior to this weekend. Jamari Traylor came off the bench, got 10 points and 8 rebounds, almost a double-double coming off the bench. Bill Self has so many players, and that's the beauty of a Bill Self basketball team. In the past 10 years, we've seen so many players be able to contribute, especially if one of the quote-unquote star players are having an off day.
Well, and Self likes to do kind of an 8 or 9 man rotation. But this year, there's so much talent. Connor Frankamp off the bench. Coach Self's trying to get him into the game more and shooting the 3 ball. But it's just interesting to see how Self is going to balance all these players. Now, of course, against TCU yesterday, we got to see the likes of Justin Wesley and Nico Roberts and some other guys that don't normally get to play. But Self really likes to kind of tone down his roster come March and tournament time. But still, so many great options on this KU team.
Yeah, and as for KU, they will play Texas Tech tomorrow night. This will be on the road, so the Jayhawks getting ready for a battle right there. And Joel Embiid, no status on him yet. We'll talk to Blake Schuster in just a moment. We'll see what the latest is on that and get some analysis. But hopefully Joel Embiid can return as Jayhawks get ready for the Red Raiders on Tuesday night.
Absolutely. We'll be back after the break with Farzin and University Daily Kansan sports writer Blake Schuster. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Good Morning KU. Farzin Vasugian here with you. Joining us right now, the sports editor for the University Daily Kansan, Blake Schuster, joins us to talk KU hoops. Blake, how's it going, man?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time to be with us. I know you're pretty busy, taking a few minutes of your busy schedule to be with us. Let's get into it. Talking KU and TCU, a pretty impressive performance overall. It is TCU, but even without Joel Embiid, how impressed were you to see KU be able to put up 95 points on the TCU guys?
Like you said, even without Joel Embiid, I think that's a game that Kansas needed to have. A little bit of a rocky road the past couple games. They needed, I hate to say a game off, but a game where they could go out with confidence and know that they were going to get the win. And with a team like TCU coming to Allen Fieldhouse, you kind of got that feeling that that's what it was going to be. Not to say that wasn't easy going by any means. TCU still led for a good portion of the first half, but you knew once KU turned it on, things were going to get rolling for them pretty fast.
Jackson and I touched on this. This is really impressive to see this from a Bill Self basketball team. Not that it's a surprise to anybody, but Joel Embiid unable to play in this game. But hey, you've got Tarek Black, you've got Jamari Traylor, you've got a couple of guys, and then Perry Ellis also steps up in a really big way. How great is it? How big of a gift is it to just be able to have this kind of a basketball team where if your star player is out, you can have 2 or 3 other guys also step up?
Well, I think that's something Bill Self anticipated at the beginning of the season. A lot of talk about if someone would get redshirted at the beginning of the year and who that might be. But Self kind of stayed away from that. He said he liked having all these options. He liked having, like you said, Connor Frankamp coming off the bench, having guys like Andrew White and Brennan Green at his disposal. And even so, having guys like Landon Lucas, who did redshirt last year, being able to come off and against TCU play 11 minutes. It's good to have that type of depth this far, and especially when your star players are getting injured, when you do need guys to have rest. After the West Virginia game, Bob Huggins was asked about the depth that Kansas has and if he liked that. And he didn't really say it would matter in a game, but he said when you're playing 2 close games together, like when you have that Saturday-Monday turnaround, that's when the depth comes into play. And this is kind of like one of those situations where you have 2 games that are pretty close together. You have players who are beat up, and you need to give guys some rest. And with this type of depth, Kansas is pretty much allowed to give guys, as much time as they need.
Now, to touch on Joel Embiid again, Bill Self's going to be talking to the media later this afternoon. I'm sure one of the questions will be whether or not he'll be available for the Texas Tech game. But, if he's not available, how can Kansas try to repeat what they did against TCU over to Texas Tech on the road this time? And we just lost Blake Schuster, unfortunately, so we'll try to get him back on. But there you had it, Blake Schuster from the University Daily Kansas. It took a couple of minutes to join us right here on Good Morning KU. But Kansas will play. Oh, Blake, are you back?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, the beauty of live TV. But just to kind of touch on Joel Embiid, how can Kansas try to replicate what they did over the weekend against Texas Tech on the road?
Oh, actually, it's looking right now like Joel Embiid is going to play against Texas Tech, in which case that's a huge gain for Kansas, obviously. Tech has not been the easiest place to play this year. They can definitely get under your skin. We saw what happened to Oklahoma State, the Marcus Smart incident, and kind of the rowdy atmosphere that can be present in Lubbock. Having Joel Embiid back is going to be a pretty big boost. Even, if he needs to take some things slower, his presence in the game is completely changing the way it'll be played out.
Awesome. All right, Blake Schuster from the University Daily Kansas, sports editor from the UK, joining us right here on Good Morning KU. Blake, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you have it. Blake Schuster from the University Daily Kansas. When we come back, Emma Hogue and Haley McGavick will have the news for you. Stay tuned.
Hi, I'm Emma Hogue.
And I'm Haley McGavick. Welcome to your Good Morning KU News. Early this morning, an Ethiopian Airlines co-pilot hijacked his own plane over Italy. The flight was heading to Rome, and when the pilot went to the toilet, the co-pilot locked himself in the cockpit and diverted the plane to Geneva, Switzerland. According to the Associated Press, the Ethiopian-born co-pilot was seeking asylum in Switzerland. 2 Italian fighter jets escorted the plane to Geneva, and the co-pilot was arrested without incident. Passengers were unaware the plane had even been hijacked.
About 250 people organized a rally outside the state capitol in Topeka on Sunday to protest controversial House Bill 2453. The bill, which was passed in the Republican-controlled House by a vote of 72 to 49, will allow Kansas businesses to deny services or employment to same-sex couples. But protesters say it violates basic civil rights and discrimination laws. Supporters contend that it protects religious liberties for those who oppose same-sex marriage. Kansas State Senate President Susan Wagle said last week that the bill will not be brought up for a vote in the Senate, though, citing the bill's open door for discrimination as a reason for lack of support among her caucus.
The state of Kansas lost a longtime journalist this past weekend. Bob Greer, the former editor of Protection Press, was considered as the essence of old school journalism. Greer normally had 3 typewriters in case 1 or 2 were not working. Greer passed away at 88 years old on Saturday at the Comanche County Hospital in Coldwater.
The City of Lawrence is exploring the idea to establish a convention center in the city. The Lawrence City Commissioners will meet the University of Kansas to look at the possibility of a convention center and hotel development, according to the Lawrence Journal-World. KU Vice Chancellor of Public Affairs, Tim Caboni, said that the university is interested in a convention center since it usually has a hard time accommodating academic conferences.
Jamie Coots, the snake-handling pastor who appeared on the reality show Snake Salvation, died on Saturday after being bitten by a snake. Coots refused medical treatment at his home after being bitten by a rattlesnake at the Full Gospel Tabernacle in Jesus' Name Church in Middlesboro, Kentucky. According to the local television station, WBIR-TV, Coots' son said his father had been bitten by snakes 8 times before, but had never suffered any kind of reaction.
Because fewer people are carrying change with them, Kansas City is contracting with Park Mobile in order to be able to offer online parking payments via the downloadable app. Kansas City hopes that this will make parking downtown easier and more efficient.
That's all the news we have for you today. Thanks for watching. We'll be back with Jackson and Farzine after this break.
Welcome back into Good Morning KU, back with more sports. Farzine, there's a great All-Star weekend, kind of in the NBA this weekend.
Yes.
With slam dunk contest, 3-point shootout, as well as the game. So let's check out some of the highlights from our own Ben McLemore, who made it into the All-Star weekend himself. He was in the slam dunk competition, and it was kind of an interesting format. Here you see McLemore jumping over Shaquille O'Neal, the great.
Not many people get to dunk on Shaq.
Or have the ability to do so. I certainly don't.
Yeah.
They're talking about Shaq Lamore, and he had a great kind of intro. He was wearing a king's robe and then dunking over Shaq on the throne, but kind of Jordan-esque look there from McLemore with the legs spread and the arms up.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the more popular dunks from this past weekend. They didn't win the dunk contest, but it certainly came close to it. As you can see over and over again, just soaring through the air, going above where Shaquille O'Neal is sitting, and just gets the dunk. Really electrified the crowd over there. But McLemore, I'd give that a 10 out of 10.
I would say a 9 out of 10 and a 10 out of 10 with the showmanship before, as far as coming out with the introduction. And then doing anything with Shaq always gives you brownie points. So that was Ben McLemore, kind of an interesting style, I'd say, with the one-on-one battles, as well as the types where they can go with the 3 players from each conference. So an interesting play there. John Wall with a nice dunk as well to end it off. So Marco Bellinelli from the San Antonio Spurs was the 3-point contest winner. And then the MVP of the All-Star game, Kyrie Irving from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the East won the All-Star game there. So next we have some Olympics, and we also have the updated medal count so far from this Olympics. And really, what's been a pretty interesting show so far.
Yeah, this past weekend it was really exciting for the United States in the hockey game with Oshie and just his performance in the overtime shootout just against Russia. A really electrifying game. It was early in the morning, so a lot of people missed out, but a lot of people still tuned in too, which was very, very exciting. And as you can see, the USA right up there, very close to being top in the total medal count.
So still a couple weeks to go, and a lot of events that still need to settle their medal count. But Farzine, just real quick, favorite Olympic event so far to watch?
I've got to say curling. It's always fun to watch. I mean, it's one of those events. You know, you see what they do. You always think you can do it, but you know, I mean, in reality, it's harder in person. But it's fun to watch. I think it's one of the more it's one of the more popular. It's growing as one of the more popular.
Almost
Olympic
as
events.
popular as the Jamaican bobsled team, I would say.
Yes.
I would say I'd go with curling's very interesting because I know nothing about it, but I like to watch the hockey. So. That's it for sports and Good Morning KU this Monday morning. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back same time, same place next week.